My name is Beth Boyd. I am a clinical psychologist, and I work at the University of South Dakota in the clinical psychology training program. I'm the director of the Psychological Services Center there and a member of the Disaster Mental Health Institute. I'm also an enrolled member of the Seneca Nation, part of the Iroquois Confederacy, and from Western New York State. And so a large part of my work has been with Native populations, and being in South Dakota, I've done a lot of work with Native communities out there. And one day a week I provide services down on the Winnebago Reservation in Nebraska. On top of the regular aspects of my job, there was a large part of my job that was supporting and mentoring students. I think that one of the first things that I realized in taking the position that I did at University of South Dakota is that I had many ethnic minority students from across campus come, not just in psychology, but from across campus come and say, I heard there was a Native American faculty member here, and I just wanted to meet you and see that it was possible. And I had never had an ethnic minority faculty member in my training, and so I didn't know how powerful that could be. But very quickly realized that they needed a lot of support. A lot of them felt like they were on the verge of feeling like they needed to go home for many reasons, whether it had to do a lot with learning styles or with feeling so far away from home or without support in the predominantly white community they were in. And so that became a difficult thing at times to balance, because that was so important to me and I felt like that was so needed. And yet it wasn't the kind of thing that was valued in terms of things like promotion and tenure and things like that. And so when I would get reviews to tell me, maybe you should spend more time doing this and less time doing that, invariably the things that they told me to spend less time doing were the things that, like mentoring ethnic minority students or being involved in the ethnic minority community in the area that I was in. Those were the things that were life-sustaining for me. So I had to find a way to continue to do those things and yet be able to do the things that I needed to get promotion and tenure. I was sustained through my interactions in the ethnic minority community. That's where I felt at home. I think that for me, that community, that professional community, came from APA. And specifically from Division 45, and that's where I was able to talk with other people and to get that support that I needed and that mentoring that I needed to be able to go back and do that work at my job and be able to keep going. And so I think if there's one thing that I would say, those things are going to happen. As an ethnic minority person, when you arrive on a campus in a position, people are going to come to you for support and for help, and to just to know that you're there and to realize how powerful that is, and find ways, because that's where the joy comes, at least for me. So I needed to find ways that I could keep that in my life and not lose that aspect of the job. That's another one of those things that you have to just be very intentional, stay on top of. I know it's something that I continue to struggle with even after 22 years. I think I remember the day that I realized early in my career that this was not going to be the kind of job where there was an inbox and an outbox, and at the end of the day I was going to have everything moved from the inbox to the outbox and then be able to say, oh, that's great, I finished, I'm done. This is always going to be the kind of job where there's always a million things that need to be done. I know for me, one of the things I had to learn was how to compartmentalize. My sort of style of seeing the world is more big picture, and so I really had to actively learn how to compartmentalize, to think about what is the next task that needs to be done, and don't think too much about the whole giant picture of what needed to be done. And family is so important. Family is what's going to keep you going. Family is going to keep you grounded, going to help remind you why you're doing this. And so you have to give yourself that time to just relax and be part of that family, because it's so easy to work so much that you end up feeling like you don't even know who your family is. And there have been times that I've gotten there too. I think one of the best things a supervisor of mine ever said to me, I'll never forget this. He had a barbecue at his house, and he took us out to his garage and showed us all of these pieces of furniture, and they were anywhere from just a raw piece of wood to a completely built piece of furniture. And he said, this is what I do. So much of our work is work where we don't get to see the outcome. We don't know what it looks like when we get done. He said, you need to have something in your life that you can work on, you can, carve it out or put it together or polish it or whatever that might be, and then you can stand back and say, I did that, and I did a good job. Or even, I'm not happy about the way I did this, let me do it, let me redo this. He said for him that was furniture, and so he would take it from a raw piece of wood to build whatever he was building, and then he would polish it and put a finish on it, and he could stand back and say, this is what I did. So I always know that whenever it starts to feel very gratifying to, sweep the floor, and then you fill up the dustpan, and it just gives me a great deal of joy to say, look, I filled that up. I know I'm needing something like that in my life, and I know that's usually time to pull back a little bit, spend time with family, just get recharged and rejuvenated, and make sure that I don't put so much of my energy into work that I lose touch with family, because family really is the reason for why I'm doing this work. And so I just think that's a very important part, and yet something that you will constantly have to pay attention to and be intentional about.